Fire kills. Each year, an estimated 6,000 workplace fires and explosions kill around 16 people and injure 400 across Australia. These fires wreak havoc among workers and their families. They put people out of work and cost businesses millions of dollars every year. Buildings can be replaced, but those left behind know that human life cannot. Your family and co-workers need to know they can rely on you to keep your workplace fire safe. They also rely on you to know your organization's emergency procedures, including how to effectively fight small fires with a portable fire extinguisher. In this program, you will learn the cause of fire, fire prevention tips, what to do if you discover a fire, how to identify different types of fires, how to choose the correct extinguisher to fight a fire, simple techniques for using fire extinguishers and fire hoses, and basic evacuation procedures. Fire needs 3 elements to burn: fuel, oxygen, and heat. Take away any of these and the fire either cannot start or will not continue to burn. Fuel can be anything, from petrol, chemicals, solvents and oils, to wood, paper, plastics, or even combustible metals like sodium and magnesium. Oxygen is the second vital element of fire. Oxygen is part of the air we breathe. Heat, or a source of ignition, is the third vital element of fire. Take away heat and a fire cannot start or continue to burn. Most portable fire extinguishers suppress fire by either reducing the heat or by smothering the fire and depriving it of oxygen. Good housekeeping is one of the best ways to prevent fire. Clean up your work area. Remove waste, wood, paper, plastics, rags, and any other items that could fuel a fire. Make sure all exits, including emergency exits, are accessible. Don't block exits with boxes or anything that would prevent easy access. You can also reduce the risk of fires by sorting and handling fuels and other hazardous materials properly. Follow the LIES system. Limit the amount of hazardous materials in storage. Isolate products in approved containers. Store them inside closed cabinets and protect them from sources of ignition. Keep containers tightly covered. Eliminate products that are no longer necessary by disposing of them properly. Separate incompatible materials, for example, chlorine products and ammonia. Many workplace fires are caused by the incorrect handling of hazardous materials. Always read the warnings on product labels. The substance may be flammable, explosive, corrosive, poisonous, unstable, react strongly with water, or toxic to humans and animals. If you have any doubts about the correct way to handle a hazardous substance, ask your supervisor before you do anything else. Always use the safety precautions recommended by the manufacturer when handling hazardous materials. Precautions may include wearing gloves, goggles, or breathing mask. Limit contact with any hazardous substance as much as possible. Placard systems help identify stored or transported hazardous materials. These placards are also used by professional firefighters to help them decide how to fight a fire. Consider these placards as warning signs. If they are present, so is danger, so back off. If the chemical storage in your workplace is not secure, or the fire extinguishers are not the right type for your workplace, don't just hope that someone else will take care of it. Report the problem to your supervisor or safety manager. Complacency is fire's best friend. Avoid overloading electrical circuits. Always replace damaged electrical cords immediately. If you use a portable heater at your desk, make sure it is turned off whenever you leave your desk for more than a few minutes. Make sure all electrical appliances are turned off before you leave at the end of the day. There may be some exceptions, such as computer equipment that must be left switched on. If you have any questions, check with your supervisor. Take special care with sources of heat, such as welding tools and grinders, or any equipment that generates heat, sparks or friction. Keep flammable materials stored away from sources of heat, including ovens, burners, stoves, fryers and boilers. Don't smoke near any sources of fuel, such as flammable liquids. Obey no smoking signs. You must be prepared in case a fire breaks out in your workplace. Your actions in the first few seconds and minutes are vital and can be the difference between a small incident and a major fire with potential loss of life. Know the location of fire alarms, extinguishers and fire hoses in your workplace. Make sure all smoke detectors work. Know your organization's emergency and evacuation procedures. Have a plan to help evacuate physically impaired workers. Participate in your organization's regular fire drills and do take them seriously. Knowing correct fire drill procedure may one day save your life. If you are unsure about your organization's emergency procedures, talk to your supervisor or safety manager. It is also helpful to know the location of fire department connection points or standpipes in your workplace. These are the water sources in larger buildings where firefighters can connect hoses and get enough water pressure to fight fires effectively. Firefighters may need directions if there is a fire. In case of fire, sound the alarm, immediately evacuate the building and call the fire department. When evacuating, do not use the lifts. Use the stairs. Before you decide that you will fight fire, make sure the fire is small and that you have a clear escape path. If possible, don't fight the fire alone. If you have extra people and extinguishers, fight the fire together. Make sure you can see each other at all times. If you are out of doors, try to keep the wind behind you. Make sure the fire extinguisher is rated for the type of fire that you are fighting and that you know how to use the extinguisher. Start as far away as possible. Never turn your back on a fire, even if it appears to be extinguished. Fires can reignite without warning. If you have any doubt at all about the size or type of fire, your ability to use a fire extinguisher correctly, or your escape path, do not attempt to fight the fire. If you're not sure of the situation, it is reckless to stay and fight the fire. Leave the building immediately. Close doors behind you to slow the spread of fire and smoke. Most fires start small and can be quickly contained if the correct type of extinguisher is available and properly used. Hand-operated portable fire extinguishers contain over 90% of fire incidents in commercial facilities. In most cases, the fire was completely extinguished before fire department personnel arrived on the scene. If you have even minimal training in the correct use of fire extinguishers, you have a much better chance of putting out a small fire than someone with no training. The extinguisher you use to fight a fire will depend on the type of fire you are fighting. Using the wrong extinguisher can have disastrous results. For example, using a water extinguisher on a grease or petroleum fire will cause the fire to spread quickly and increase in intensity. There are 6 types or classes of fire. Class A fires involve ordinary combustibles such as wood, paper, cloth, rubber and many plastics. Class B fires involve flammable liquids such as petroleum, oil, grease, tar, oil-based paints, lacquer and flammable gases. Class C fires involve flammable gases such as LP gas, hydrogen gas, natural gas and acetate. Class D fires involve combustible metals such as magnesium, titanium, potassium and sodium. Class E fires involve energized electrical equipment such as wiring, switches, fuse boxes, computers, circuit breakers, machinery and appliances. And Class F fires involve cooking oil and fats. When fighting a Class E or electrical fire, always assume the power is on. Although the source of electricity may be disconnected, some electrical equipment stores energy even after the power has been turned off. Don't ever assume electrical equipment has been de-energized. Some fire extinguishers can be used on only one class of fire. Some can fight 2 or 3 classes of fire. There is no extinguisher, however, that can be used on all classes of fire. All fire extinguishers have labels and symbols indicating the class of fire they can be used on. Choose the right extinguisher for the job. Look around your workplace. Is there an extinguisher close by that is suitable to fight the types of fire that could occur in your workplace? If you can't quickly reach the right type of extinguisher in an emergency, you're placing yourself and your co-workers in unnecessary danger. Water extinguishers can be used on Class A fires only. They should never be used on other classes of fire, as they can cause the fire to spread, in the case of Class B, C and D fires, or conduct electricity in Class E fires. Dry chemical extinguishers that can fight Class A, B and E fires are becoming more common in most workplaces. They make a terrible mess, but if the choice is between a fire and a mess, choose the mess. Specialized wet chemical extinguishers are also available. These are typically for restaurant kitchens and don't leave a dry chemical residue. Carbon dioxide extinguishers can be used on Class A and B fires as well as Class E fires. Foam extinguishers are for Class B fires, but must not be used on or near electrical equipment. You won't have time to read extinguisher labels in an emergency, so do it today. Become familiar with the types of extinguishers available to you and their operating instructions. Don't use the extinguisher if it is not suitable for the type of fire. If you are in any doubt at all about the class of fire, the type of extinguisher you have available, whether it is big enough to fight the fire, or your ability to use the extinguisher correctly, call for help and leave the area. Try lifting some of the extinguishers in your workplace. Some of them may be too heavy for you to operate. You will put lives in danger if you try to use an extinguisher that is too heavy for you. Before operating any extinguisher, check if there is a pressure gauge that shows if the extinguisher is fully charged. If there is no gauge, don't panic. Some extinguishers don't have them. When using a fire extinguisher, remember the letters PASS. They stand for pull, aim, squeeze and sweep. Pull the pin. When you pull the pin, it's a good idea to test operate the extinguisher before approaching the fire. This will show you its discharge range, so that you don't get any closer to the fire than is absolutely necessary. Aim at the base of the fire, squeeze the handle and sweep the fire. Aim low. Point the extinguisher nozzle or horn at the base of the fire. Squeeze the handle to release the extinguisher agent, that is the dry chemical, carbon dioxide or other agent, depending on the type of extinguisher. Sweep from side to side at the base of the fire until it appears to be out. Move around the perimeter of the fire to maximize coverage with the extinguishing agent. Don't use more extinguishing agent than necessary, as you may need to use the extinguisher again if the fire reignites. Never turn your back on a fire, even if it appears to be out. And always make sure you have a clear exit from the fire area. Fire hoses are like water extinguishers, but of course they don't run out. They can only be used on Class A fires. To use a fire hose, run out the entire length of the hose. Turn on the valve to charge the hose with water. Turn on the water at the nozzle. Both stream and spray options are available by rotating the nozzle. If you and your co-workers have followed correct procedures, the fire department will arrive. Even if the fire has been suppressed before the firefighters arrive, let them do their job. Fires can reignite without warning. The firefighters will make sure the fire has been completely extinguished and advise you on what further action to take. Never place a used fire extinguisher back in its original position, where it can be mistaken for a fully charged extinguisher. Checking and refilling or recharging fire extinguishers, along with examining fire hoses after use, are jobs for professionals. Contact your fire department or local fire equipment company for further information. It is absolutely critical that you are familiar with the emergency procedures for your workplace, as each workplace is unique in its layout and evacuation requirements. Participate in your organization's fire drills and evacuation procedures. Go as quickly as possible to your assembly area and stay there until your fire marshal gives you further instructions. Follow instructions carefully and do not treat drills as a joke. One day, the knowledge you gain from a fire drill could save your life. Very few fire fatalities result from the victim being actually burned to death. Smoke inhalation and radiant heat are the major killers. These can cause disorientation and collapse. If it is necessary for you to evacuate a smoke-filled building, keep low, on your hands and knees if possible. Keep the back of your hands facing forwards so that if you touch live electrical wires, you will be thrown clear. If you must walk upright, make sure you can detect obstructions by shuffling rather than walking. Avoid areas where there is radiant heat. If this is not possible, carry something to protect you from radiant heat, such as a heavy coat or blanket. Always touch door handles gently with the back of your hand. If the handles are hot, don't attempt to open the door. In this program, you have learned how fires start and why they keep burning. How to reduce the risk of fire through good housekeeping and the elimination of fire hazards. What to do in those first vital seconds and minutes if you discover a fire. How to identify different types of fires and how to choose the correct extinguisher to fight a fire. The basic techniques for using fire extinguishers and fire hoses and basic evacuation procedures. This information doesn't apply only in your workplace. The information in this program is just as relevant in your home. Do you have fire extinguishers at home and in your car or truck? Do you and your family have a home evacuation plan? Fire kills. You can help reduce the risk of fire, but one day you may have to deal with fire in your workplace or your home. So, be prepared.